Good morning everyone, and I'm back from the earlier competition video if you missed that. So that video came up before this one and it was the announcement of the ATC 12 Days of Christmas winners. Right, it's Tuesday and it's tutorial. So I have been asked about paper piecing. Now I will tell you that we're going to do an angel today, and I'm going to be using these two dies as my frame. They're no longer available. I apologize, but I love them, so I want to use them. If they ever appear again, I will link them below. I'm going to use my easel die. This is my design from MX Art, and obviously the reason for that is so that you can stand your card up. And the other die that I'm going to use today is the MX Art Angel die. Now, a lot of people do ask about paper piecing, and I think it's really important to reference that not everyone knows how to do it. Now, I've chosen this die today because it's an easy one. So I'm going to show you why I think this is easy. It has very few pieces and colours are very similar. So making it as per the website, you have an angel that has a white dress. So that is the angel piece. You can see it's all embossed. I'll get close up there for you. So you've got all that lovely detail and it's a nice big piece. And then you've got the hair. It's right, my fingernails are a bit and once again all embossed, and these pieces will cut out because on the website the wing actually tucks into the hair section. Now on the website she's a blonde angel and the wing is in blue, so you can see very big pieces and very basic colors. The dove there all in one piece, and that also is in white on the website. And then the hands and the face, you can make your angel whatever skin tone you want to. I mean, really, they look beautiful in any skin tone, but I'm doing it as per the website. So you have two pieces that you would cut in the skin tone of your choosing. Now, if you look here, this is why I'm saying these are easy. You've got this embossed section on her face that looks like hair. And if I pick the hair piece up there and you look at it, once you've cut them out, you can see exactly where they piece on. This is what makes them so simple. Okay. And then we've got a little hands which has all of that detail. And once again, that's cut in flesh cardstock. And then you have the halo, which I'm going to cut in golds, but it can be in any colour you want. And the reason I'm cutting it in golds is because I'm going to use a sheet of white and gold Crazy Crafter paper from the paper pack to do the base layers, and my base layers are going to be in white and gold. So we're just keeping the palette very limited and very simple. Now, because this to me is simple, and I'm not being condescending to anyone who doesn't know how to paper piece, I tend to then pay attention to the background that it goes on. And because I'm only using plain cardstock, what I'd like to do is use something from my haul, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and that is these. These are teeny tiny abalone sequins. These are some of my absolute favourites. Now, you'll have seen I've got mixed bags of these, but I ordered these and I've got some other ones to show you after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some glossy accents around the edge of the white frame, and then I'm going to dip the edge of the frame in sequins. So we're going to do that in a second. Right, but first off, I'm just going to cut out my cardstock so that you can see the pieces, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and I've cut my pieces out, and I'm just going to show you the other things that I'm going to be using today, Glossy Accents and Dollar Tree Jot Glue. It's just plain white adhesive that you can pour into one of these AliExpress needle tip bottles, which makes it very easy for applying. I'm trying to find the center of my camera here, down onto small areas so that you don't have to make a mess everywhere. So I'm going to be using those two liquids. Whoops, pick that one up. And then from Dollar Tree again, I've got two different types of tape, and I've also got some foam tape so that I can elevate my angel. From AliExpress, I'm going to be using a wax tip pickup tool. These are quite long. When they get really sort of like flat, like I've been using this quite a while and it's still got a tip on it, but you just use a regular pencil sharpener to sharpen it off. That's all you need to do. And one of these will probably last you 3 or 4 years, if I'm honest. And I'm also going to be using some flat back beads. Now, I only use two sizes, and I'm always talking about these. I use 1.5 mil and I use 4 mil. And I use these for all my characters, my little people, my cartoony characters and my critters. So if I get in close there, you can see they're very tiny, which is why you use a pickup tool. And then you've got these which are much larger, and I can usually pick those up between my fingers. So we're using those. Right, I'll just pop those out of the way and I'll show you the pieces that I cut out. So I'll slide these up here. So this is the easel which will go on the back of the card, and if I flip that over, the tape runs down the center here, which means you can then fold this up and your card will stand up. This little space here is for writing your sentiment. So I'll pop that off onto one side. Here is that big piece that I was telling you about, and that is the dress. It's all one big chunk. Now that sticks up a bit. That's because I have humidity, but once I put some tape on, that bit will lie flat. And I'm knocking my glue over again. Now onto my dove, I cut it in the same white sparkly cardstock. See if we can get close. All of the cardstock that I'm using today is from Joanne, and it's all the basil cardstock that I get when it's on sale. Now the back piece is plain white, the top piece is sparkly, and the reason that I do that is because I can pop that there, I can bend the wing forward, and then you've got a little dove that looks like it's flying on the card, nice and dimensional. So two of those. Here is the hair that I was telling you that would cut, and the wing kind of erupts from the hair there. So you would apply glue onto this surface, tuck it in there, and then glue it down. And she's an angel who's kind of at an angle in flight, but you'll see that as I start to do it. And then if I pick this up, because it's a lot easier, you've got the gold crown there, you've got the face, and you've got the hands. And this is that Crazy Crafter gold and white cardstock. Okay, and then I've just got the plain white background. But if I just slide those off there for a second, I'm going to be layering that up, but I want to put glossy accents all around the edge, and then I'm going to dip it into my sequins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some foam tape on here so that it's elevated slightly, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to dip the edge. I just wanted to quickly show you what it looks like when I put my foam tape on, because I do use quite a lot. In fact, I might even put another bit in there because I do like my bases to be quite solid. So I'm just going to stick that down and I'll be straight back. Okay, so I've done that, and as you can see now, we've got some dimension between those two pieces, and I want to use the stitch line just to run some glossy accents around there, and I've got my sheet of white cardstock down to catch any excess sequins, and I'm going to use the stitch line because that's going to be a really easy thing to follow. Now, I don't want to put my glossy accents down too thick, and I've torn the top off my little rhombus sequins so that I'm ready to go. But here we go. So I'm just going to follow in the center of that stitching. And the reason that I'm doing this now is because it can dry while we do our paper piecing. So because you've got this like lovely wavy stitching on this edge, it doesn't matter about having a steady hand. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily choose stuff because it's easy. I just sometimes find stuff that makes it easier to do the things that I want to do. So I've got a border here now that's following that stitched edge. You can see all of that glue. Some of the stitching is still on show, which is nice. And now I just want to, whoops, get that little bit off there because I don't want any rhombus sticking onto there. And get my nails underneath, and I'm just going to position it so that I can throw all the sequins on top. So let's open them up, and here goes. Now you do have to put out quite a bit. Don't be scared. Just treat it like you do embossing powder, because you're going to put them all back into the bag anyway. So get them all going around. Nice thick layer so that you'll be able to squish it into the glossy accents without getting glossy accents all over your fingers. So doesn't that look wonderful? Don't you just want to walk all over it? I do. Right, and now I'm just going to tap gently so that all those sequins, well, not all of them, but the ones that will touch the glossy accents are making good contact, and they will stay on. So just go around a few times just to make sure you're getting the effect that you want. Anything else is going to go back into the bag, just like embossing powder or glitter, so that there isn't any waste. And these sequins aren't hugely expensive anyway, but I just absolutely love them. And now I'm going to hold it by my top layer, I think, while I just shake off the excess. Just tap it down. Just go around a few times. And basically what you end up with is something a little bit pretty and a little bit different. And then get those off. And so that is your border edge, but you can still see some of the stitching and you can still see your wavy edge. Now if you've got some that are sort of like excessively hanging over, you can kind of like run your finger along just to tidy that up. And but look at that. Isn't that sparkly and lovely? Right, so I can now go and put this off to one side to dry while I come back and paper piece the angel. I'm going to tidy this up and I'll be straight back. Right, so that's all nice and tidy, and the rhombus are all back in their bag. I just think they're absolutely glorious. They just remind me of like little chunks of ice. Aren't they pretty? Oh, I just love them. Right, and here are our other pieces. Right, so the easel, I'm not using that at the moment. We're about to do our little angel. And when you're doing stuff like this, it's all about the order in which you do it. But as I say, I did choose an easy one for today. Now she's releasing this angel and she's kind of like flying, probably at that angle. I'll try and get it a bit higher up, but if I move it too high up, then I'm not going to be able to see. So she's positioned there, I would say like that. Now the first thing that I want to do is the hair to the face, because as you can see, it's embossed and those pieces fit onto the embossed area. I'll see if I can get a close up there. There we go. So those will just glue straight on top of there. And that's the first thing that I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get my Dollar Tree glue, got my pickup tool, And let's hope that this is not all blocked up. Nope. So I've got some glue down there. And this is actually big enough for me to pick up with my hands. So I'm going to hold her face there, and I'm hoping that you can see it as I position her hair. And there's her hair onto her face. Now, as I said before, the wings are actually coming out of the head. So, well, not the head, it's coming out of the hair. So I need to pop some glue onto here. Now, this is a glitter paper, but it's almost sort of like sprayed on texture glitter. It's not rough, loose glitter. Now, these coated cardstocks, it's actually a plastic that they pop on there, and these can take a while to dry, which is why I'm going to do this now. And it needs to just pop under there. That might look a little bit odd at the moment, but I think that's about right. I'm going to give that a good squish, and then that needs to be left to dry. But while I'm here, I'm going to pick it up. See the eye section? I'm going to pop a 1.5mm flat back into there. I'll try and drop the camera down lots and lots. Let's see how far I can go. I'm going to pop her on the table. Hopefully you can see that. It's quite bright sunshine here, and I'm just going to drop a little bead of glue there. I've got a little bit left on my tip, and that's quite enough. I'm going to get a 1.5mm flat back. I'm going to take one out. I'm going to pop it down. Now, you might not be able to see that because it's so small, but I need to just flip it over, which I've just done with my finger. It's actually right there. I'm going to pick it up on my pickup tool, and I'm going to move it across to that dot of glue and just pop it down, and hopefully you can see that now. Let's have a look. Oop. It's just the easiest way to be able, I'm going to zoom in, there you are. It's the easiest way to be able to put eyes onto characters. So there she is. And I've just noticed actually that I've got some dye residue on her face. But hopefully that will come off once I give it a good squish. Right, so that's the wing, the hair and the eye. And then you're going to need the dress. Now, the dress has buckled in my humidity, so I'm going to use some fine tape just to hold that piece down for a little while. I only need a small piece, so here goes. Let's pop her there. Let's move this up so that you can see it. It's quite bright, but I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to hold that up. There you go. So that's closed the gap. I'll flip it over, and it's not sticking up in the air anymore. So if you're somebody that suffers humidity like I do, that's a great thing to do. Right, next thing that needs to be done is I'm going to glue the two birds together, and I can do this by holding it, and hopefully you'll be able to see. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down on the body. It's right, the weather here is absolutely atrocious. It keeps going bright sunshine. It's very, very cold. So there's my little dove. I'm going to have to apologise for my camera. There we are. And then I'm going to put this one directly on top, but I've only got glue on the belly area. And then I can make sure that my wings are opening there. Clean off any glue along the edge. Make sure those are lined up, and that needs to dry. So I'm just going to pop that there. And then the next thing that we need to do is we need to glue the hands onto the dress. Now, I tend to leave small things just flat down on the surface like that, and I'll pop my glue where I need it. And then I move the large piece over onto the small piece. And as I say, she's got this slight angle that she's at. And she is releasing that dove. So I'm just going to squish that, and I'm just going to let that dry just for a second, and I'll be back. Right, so the base is still a little bit wet, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue the neck into the body. Now, it is the neck area that will get the glue. So I'm just going to put a blob there, and this will go underneath the hair because we've only glued the hair down on this front section. So this will just slide right underneath, and you can pop the neck area where you need to. Now what I tend to do is do it like that and then slide it around where I want it, where I think it looks right, which I think is about there, and then just position it. And of course she's at that nice little jaunty angle now where she's going to be releasing that little bird, and she's got her halo which will go flat. That will be glued flat down either onto the paper, which is how it looks on the website image, but personally I think I'm going to prefer to put it on her hair. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. I'm going to pop it on her hair. So that's the one thing that I'm doing here that will be different to the website. And the reason for that is because when she's dry, I want to be able to put some foam pads underneath her and her bird so that they're sort of like coming up slightly off the card. Right, so this is going to probably take another 10 minutes to dry here. So I'll run off, have a cup of coffee, and I'll be back. Right, so that frame still needs a few minutes. As I say, it's very humid here, but let's go ahead and put our double-sided tape onto here. Now I'm going to pop it here for my bird, just like that, so that that will have dimension going down, and it's got its little wing to open there. And then whenever I do foam tape on paper piecing, you can see behind where all of the weak points are, i.e. the neck, the hair to the wing, and the hand, which is, you know, sort of like barely glued there onto the wing. And so what I try to do is use my tape just to support areas like that. And so I will tend to just catch the edges using my foam tape so that they're still secured. Now I can go right across the neck and the hair and the wing area there, so that that piece of foam is holding all of those parts. And then you've got an area here, so I'm going to put a piece there, and that's going to hold the wing up, and it's also going to hold the hair in place. And so now really it's just a matter of putting enough on so that it's substantial enough that when anybody's holding it and touching it, it's not going to crush in their hands. So I'm just going to keep putting tape on here. Down the dress section, I'm going to have longer pieces, as you can see. So I will go to there, and then I'll go along the body area there, and then a shorter piece which I'm going to pop right in there. Now I'm hoping that's not going to show, but what it does do is it holds that cut section. So now you've got all of that support in all what I call the weak places of paper piecing, so that when you turn it over and you put it down, you've got a nice solid thing that isn't going to get squished Right, so it's still waiting on this, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, hopefully it's dried sufficiently, and here's my little angel, and I've peeled those pieces off, and I'm just going to stand up for a minute so that I can see what I'm doing, because I want her quite low down and into those bits there. And then I've peeled the bit off my dove, and her focus really is that little dove. So I'm going to pop that there. And there she is. She's got her lovely little pretty sparkly border. She's got a dimensional dove. She's dimensional. There's a slightly satin sheen on the hair there. But you've got that beautiful twinkle from the gold in that crazy crafter cardstock. And it's just a really easy paper piecing die. Now on the back, I confess I made a mistake, because I normally would use the frame die to cut the easel. I'll cut the easel and then lay on whatever design I need, but I didn't. I went along the edge and cut it with scissors. But you've got that on the back there, and that will just bend up for the recipient, and then they can stand their card up wherever they wish to. And it's always a good idea to sort of like tap and mess around with your card before posting it, because you'll find a few loose sequins will drop off on you. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that it made sense. And one of the things that I'll try and do after Christmas is go through more complicated paper piecing dies. But if you want to start paper piecing, as I said right at the beginning, start with large pieces and few pieces, because there's only what, 6 7 elements to this. You've got the dove, you've got the little halo, the hair, the face, the hands, a nice big chunk which is the dress, and you've also got the wings. Now if you've got any markers, as you can see, you've got this section here, and that could have a shadow underneath there, and you would just go along your cardstock using a cool grey 1 or 2 marker, and she would have a shadow there to make it look like it was the front and the back of the dress. But I just think she's super, super pretty. Right, so I'm going to pop my easel back down again, and I'm going to show you my little AliExpress haul. Right, you've already seen this, which is absolutely gorgeous. These are my abalone rhombus. I will link these. You get a huge amount. They're not expensive. They're a couple of bucks. And I've got the lemon ones because I just thought with Easter, they're just going to look absolutely gorgeous. I just love those. Sunflowers and anything sunny summer. That's what that looks like. And I also got myself a new set of stamps, which is a Christmas set. Nice easy one for watercolouring, or just do a splash of sort of seasonal type watercolours and then just stamp on top. That's simple, and it's got some nice sentiments in there. So I'm going to be using that sometime in the week. And I also got myself some more Zootone crystals because I absolutely love them. These are the smaller size, and you could, if you wanted to, sort of like add little crystals onto the dress, and that would look pretty as well. But I think you get thousands, I'm not sure. And these are like 50 cents a pack. So I'll link Zootone. They always have really good sales and stuff on their gems. And I also got myself my Christmas project for this year, and it's actually 16 dies, but I've already started hacking away at it, and I haven't got all the dies out. But basically what you get is you get dies and you get printed paper, which is kind of like photographic paper. So there you can see sort of like birds and nests. I've got 16 different varieties, and that one is the daffodil. But I absolutely love the wildflowers, and I've got some of the wildflower dies that I've cut apart. Just got a couple here that I can hold in my hand. And basically all that you have to do is you lay your die down onto the paper within the image there. The image is slightly bigger so that you can't make any mistakes. And then I'm trying to think where this one goes. Oh yeah, that one would go onto there. And then when you've got them lined up, just like a stamped image, you then cut. And as I say, I got a set of 16 because I thought to myself, for Christmas this year, I'm going to make myself a big lighted shadow box of wildflowers and wildlife that I can have at the side of my bed. And I already started cutting some of them out, and this is what they look like when you start die cutting. Now, those wildflowers that I just showed you, there's some of them. They're just really, really delicate. If I pick that one up, just really pretty. And I've even got some mushrooms and ivy and stuff. So, as I was saying the other week, if you're not somebody who celebrates Christmas or you're on your own, this will be my Christmas Day video, and I'm going to be putting together a 3D lighted sort of like diorama for my bedroom. So that is the bird with his eggs in the nest, and there's just all sorts in here. But you know, come back on Christmas Day for the video, and I will have uploaded it. There's my mushrooms, and it just reminds me of really vintage paper scraps. It's the same paperweight and quality and that sort of very slight sheen that you get on vintage scraps. So that's going to be my Christmas project, and that was the other part of my haul. Right, so going back to the paper piecing, there she is. She's absolutely glorious. And you have a fabulous day. Now, I don't know what I'm going to be up with tomorrow, but it's going to be something. I think it's going to be something quite large and chunky, actually, for a change. So, once again, have a fabulous day. As usual, all links below. And congratulations once again to the competition winners. And that video was the one that came up just before this one. Bye.